welcome back to another episode of Third Coast Reptile right here on YouTube. Hey, I hope your 4th of July was good. I hope you had a great vacation. Time off of work this time of year is awesome because it's summertime. I also hope you guys are a perfect 10. That means that you didn't blow a finger off, shooting fireworks off. But let's get to this video. So, I have to ask a question, and that question is, does your tortoise enjoy being touched, or is it a nuisance? Does it bother them? Is it beneficial? Well, we're going to answer that question today. Oh, and don't forget, we're going to be doing an Under the Shell segment where I answer one of your questions right here on Third Coast Reptile. Okay guys, we are here with my adult Burmese Star Tortoise here. He's going to be chowing away on some spring mix while we answer this question of whether tortoises actually enjoy being touched, or is it just something that they tolerate. In order to answer this properly, we're going to go over some subtopics to kind of get an understanding of whether or not they actually enjoy being touched or not, and whether or not it's a necessity for you as an owner to take care of your tortoise properly if touching your tortoise is necessary. And it sounds really weird to say it that way. So we're going to say, from now on, it's going to be handled. We're going to handle our tortoise. So handling your tortoise is absolutely necessary. For one, if you need to move them out of the way, it's just something you have to do. Whether you're cleaning a water dish, they get really nosy and curious to see what was under the water dish, so they like to explore. When it comes to their health, you can actually diagnose your tortoise really easily. You can check the sides here, their scutes, and that'll tell you whether or not they have metabolic bone disease if it's really soft in these regions. Also, you can check their plastron underneath and check to see if they have any shell rot or any, metabolic bone disease down there if it's really malleable down there. Pancake tortoises excluded. But it's a necessary evil, so you have to handle your tortoise. Another thing when it comes to tortoises that's more of a naturalistic behavior, in the wild, birds would actually come down to the larger tortoises such as the Aldabra tortoises or Galapagos tortoises or even some sulcata tortoises and grab ticks off their necks that they would get along the way. So the birds would come out and they would actually stretch their necks out so they can get access to all the ticks. And when you pet a tortoise on their neck, they actually stretch their neck way out and they can get those ticks off those tortoises. It's a great way to make sure that they stay healthy and avoid Lyme disease that ticks carry. Also, when it comes to tortoises, it's a good tactical thing that you can do with larger tortoises. Again, as those Aldabras and sulcata tortoises imply, they weigh a lot, and you can't move them, just by carrying them. So a good way to move them is to tap on their shell. It's actually a nuisance to them, but it doesn't harm them. It's just annoying. And what it'll get them to do is to actually move away from you tapping on their shell. And that's a great way to kind of motivate them to get to like a colder, if it's colder climate, you want to get them inside. It's a great way to get them indoors. So another way to look at this too is, can they actually feel it? Can they feel when you're touching their shell? And the answer is yes. They can actually feel the touch of your hands on their shell. They know you're there. Think of it as like the bones on your fingernails there. You can actually feel that pressure and that warmth on top of your finger. It's the same thing with a tortoise shell. They can feel your hands. And in fact, if you get them in the right place here, I don't know if he's going to do it or not, if you scratch them right here on their butt, you see a lot of videos of tortoises kind of wagging their butt around as you're scratching their butt, but that's because they actually feel it. And of course they can feel it on their hands and their heads and stuff. I mean, that's naturally, but their shells can actually feel touch as well. Alright guys, today's Under the Shell question comes from Don. And Don asks, hey, my sulcata tortoise has these white lines on its scutes. And is this something that's normal, or is this something that's like shell rot? What is going on here? Can you please help me? We sure can. So it's actually a great thing. When sulcata tortoises grow, and they have these growth spurts periodically through their life, they develop these white lines. And these white lines on their scutes is actually new shell growth. It's not a bad thing. If you are concerned, usually, hold on a second, usually shell rot or a fungus grows on the carapace underneath the tortoise's shell, because that comes in contact with most of the moistures and wet stuff all the time, and the substrate is directly on the ground. It doesn't really get all that much opportunity to dry out like the top of the shell does. So when it comes to like top of the shell, the main things you'll see there are maybe like a metabolic bone disease where it's soft and pliable, or maybe that pyramiding you see as well. So when it comes to the lines on your shell, that's actually a great thing. And that means you're doing the right thing with your tortoise, and they are actually growing. As you know, sulcata tortoises get really big, but that's just the beginning. So if you want your question answered right here on the Under the Shell segment, you can do so in 3 ways. Number 1, you can get your question answered right here in the comments section. Number 2, you can go to the Third Coast Reptile YouTube community chat. That's a big word. Third Coast Reptile community chat, and ask your question there. Or you can simply go to the Third Coast Reptile Facebook page and ask your question there. Alright guys, let's get back to it. Okay guys, so that kind of explains what we're talking about here. So yes, tortoises actually need to be handled, they need to be touched. Whether it's something they actually enjoy or not, I really don't think they do. I think they tolerate it really well. And that's something to consider, that you try to, treat your tortoise like a dog. It's not really the best interest of the tortoise to do so. Handle them if you must, but understand that they are tolerating your handling and not really enjoying it per se. But if your tortoise actually comes up to you and has that personality, it could be that individual tortoise may be an exception to that rule. But for the most part, yeah, they really just tolerate it really well. So this guy's going to go ahead and continue eating his lunch here. Again, I haven't been posting a lot lately because I've been working out back on the Redfoot tortoise enclosure. That's been a massive undertaking. I think we're on week 2 of the build out there. I'm really happy with the results. No, I can't show you a preview right now, but I wanted to give you guys a good video here. So at the end, when it's all done with the Redfoot tortoise enclosure, I'm going to show you guys the end result, and it's going to be a wow factor type thing. It's really beautiful out there. I'm amazed at how everything's kind of turning out. So until next time, bye now.